Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Spence.
Oh,
where do I hear the echo coming from?
That was me. It was me. Sorry.
Okay. Hey, Spence.
I just launched the live. Hello, how you doing?
All right, welcome back. Welcome back.
Since when do I see you on the Hangout?
Yeah, that's
last week.
Yeah. Using vMix. Yep. And Steve is here.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning. And Nick is here.
Of course. I'm always here.
Yep. And Jorvik is here.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Am I missing anybody? The things are real small back there. No, nope. I'm not. Okay. Our numbers, 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear and made possible by Telestream Wirecast software. And we are... Yeah, everything is running. Yep.
My question is, how come now we see you on the...
now since last week, I switched to vMix instead of Wirecast, and Nick set it up like that it works now. Before, it was messing up every time when I was using the Wirecast virtual camera, but this one works nice.
Oh, it's great. I was taken aback this morning when I saw it.
No, you're still here, I hope, right? You were not really taken back.
No, I was taken into the back room.
So 2 months. 2 months in Alaska.
Yes, sir.
You missed all the hot weather that we had down here.
I did actually miss it. I had mornings the last few weeks where it was 28 degrees.
Jeez.
It's like my hometown.
What?
My hometown.
Yeah. Yep.
Old stuff.
We went to lunch, Spence and me, Thursday, and he said, and he came, and he was wearing shorts, and he said, I haven't worn shorts since I lived here. That's
true.
Yeah.
It is absolutely true.
So did you play around with any cool technology in Alaska, satellite phones or anything?
I use satellite phones on I wouldn't say a regular basis, but I had to use them twice on an emergency basis. Actually had to do a medical evacuation in the middle of nowhere where there was no cell phone system, nothing. So we had to, it was a combination ambulance and airlift. The person had to be taken out because they had a heart issue.
Jesus.
So if it wasn't for the satellite phone. So yeah, Iridium satellite phone system, even though the latitude is so high, it still works pretty good.
What's how does it take to connect a call? Is it pretty quick, or
it's actually pretty quick? It will occasionally it would time out, and but otherwise it was okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we're required because of the some drivers do extended trips where we're off literally in nowhere, off the main highway. So we have to have a defibrillator, advanced first aid kit, survival gear. One morning I had the temperature was 28 degrees and couldn't get the heat to work.
Ooh.
So I had 45 people who were shivering in the back. The temperature got up to about 40 degrees. So I handed out I had emergency space blankets and handed those out so people could stay warm. And fixed the problem. After, the sun came up, it got a little warmer and it actually got over the top and it worked. But it was a defect. It was a blown fuse and got it to work. But it was interesting in the morning.
I'm sure.
But
So,
you did it.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I mean, it's very intense working up there because you're working 60 hours plus a week. You're just there to work. I mean, that's really, I had some time off and I did do a little bit of exploring on my own, but for the most part, it was working. But very rewarding work when you have some of the trips I had now new this year. I stayed with the same guests for 5 days, and where do we get to know them really well? So it was fun.
That can be.
So I'll ask. I think.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Nick.
No, I insist. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that can be a double-edged sword.
Yeah, but for the most part, it was the one group I was with. By the time we were done, I picked them up down in Anchorage, take them up to a couple of lodges, and then eventually dropped them off at Denali National Park, where there's a lodge. And I dropped them off, said our goodbyes, and they picked their stuff up. And then there's one family group asked me to come inside and be in their family picture. So it was fun. Just get to know people. What they tell us is you should be aware. Some of these people most of the people on the trip, this is a once in a lifetime thing for them to afford to be able to do this, to come here. They've saved and they're coming on this trip. It's like on their bucket list that they'll survive. They'll get to the point in their lives where they can do this. So you got to treat it that way. You got to say, hey, these people are here. You need to make this a special experience for them, not just like, yeah, there's this mountain, there's this, there's that. You have to make it interesting. Saw more wildlife this trip than on the other two, for sure.
Did you see anything? Like what? See a lot
Moose, caribou.
Oh, there you go. Did you kill anything?
No, it was hunting season. I did see some animals that had passed on, put it that way, riding on top of cars.
That's always an interesting view. I've seen
Yes.
that a couple of times.
And you're driving along and you pass a hunting camp and there's the animal staked up being field dressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of
Staked up.
so.
Literally.
Well, good, Spence. Glad to see you back.
Yeah, good to be back.
I've got an important question though. Will you go back again?
I will. I'm not sure
Okay.
under what circumstances.
Gotcha.
They've asked me to come back as an instructor.
And how's that different from what you're doing now?
Well, I wouldn't be taking guests. I'd be having young skulls full of mush who want to be drivers.
Oh, interesting.
And they do it every year. The one interesting thing that they do is they will, if you apply and you don't have your CDL, your class 2 CDL, you'll get it. They put you through a training program and from scratch. And so you get it. You get an Alaska license. You turn it in when you get back to your home state if you don't live in Alaska. But they will pay you to train.
Interesting.
It's one of the few places around the country that'll do that.
Yeah.
But it's far. You got to get up there.
How many drivers do they have? The company.
The location I had about 50. That was Fairbanks. Throughout the state and Canada, they probably have 300 or more.
Wow. And is it just one company that pretty much owns the whole thing up there?
Yeah. It's the company you work for is called Holland America Princess Transportation. And they are a joint venture between the two cruise lines. For the land portion of the tour, you get your transportation and guest services. That's the people at the tour desk and all that through this company. You're still employees of the cruise line. It's just a joint venture between those two. Ultimately, it's all owned by Carnival Cruise Lines.
Gotcha. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
But a person who's a retiree who is looking for something else to do, like an adventure like this, even just if you do it one season, they'll sponsor you. And you, depending on where you work, will be whether they have housing for you or not. Some people have gone back. I know people that have done it for more than 5 years.
Wow. That's crazy.
So Spence gave his report. Now, Jorvik, you traveled too this past week.
Only to the south of England, though. It wasn't very far.
Well, I mean, it's traveling.
It was a good week. The weather was good.
We were on up here, and Jorvik was streaming, and really nice country. Beautiful. That was fun.
That's Oxfordshire. Henley-on-Thames.
Yep. All right. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And for those of you that have the Amazon Echo, you can say, I mean, just in case it's around you, I don't want to be like all those television people, but you say her name and you say, play, if you want to listen to the show or any of the shows that we're doing, so you can say her name, play, tune in, Nissan Communications. It took me some time to figure it out, but it does work. So you go, her name, play, tune in, Nissan Communications. Well, maybe you don't wait that long between tune in. So you go, play, tune in, Nissan Communications. And you can listen to the show.
Can you play a future show that hasn't happened yet?
You can try and say play future shows. I don't know what's going to happen.
Alexa does everything. Right?
If it does play, Spence, then you didn't come back yet.
That's right.
Next week's lottery numbers are 29.
What was the well, Back to the Future had that thing where he had the sports almanac.
Oh yeah.
Made all that money. Excuse me. But what was the other show that had similar, or another movie? No, September 22nd, September 1964. That Stephen King novel that was made into a series. He was using information from the future to make money.
Good question from Gene in the chat. Do you have to have a TuneIn account?
No.
No, it's part of the service from Mecca.
Cool.
No account required. Just ask the service to, or ask the device to listen to TuneIn.
Yep. And
I see they've got a new. Oh, sorry. I see they've got a new Echo out now. There's a couple of new ones, isn't there? There's a big tall one and one with a screen on it.
There's like 6 new ones out. They released a whole bunch of products.
yeah,
I only saw 2.
The one with the camera is the one that will tell you if the clothes you're wearing that day are compatible.
Well, they've got They've got 2 screens. They've got the big one, the show. It's been out for a couple of, and then they've got the Spot now, which is like a little alarm clock looking thing.
it
Which
is
a
an
little
clock,
freaking creepy.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
And it's
I like the idea of a small alarm clock one. That could be quite useful.
Yeah.
well,
There's also a version of the Ecobee thermostat that has a built-in echo.
Oh yeah, I did see that as well.
the thing about that Spot It says that Amazon announced 6 new hardware, and that the one that everyone is talking about, though, is the Echo Spot, a little alarm clock with a camera that will probably be pointing directly at your bed.
Mm-hmm.
While all the focus is on what the Echo Spot looks like, it's important to remember that Amazon is using the Spot as a very clever way of making you comfortable with having a camera in your bedroom. So it's like this is a stepping stone towards something else.
Of course it is.
What is the camera? What would the camera do? We'll look at you and see if you're asleep or not, and if you are asleep,
it's all about getting people in the. All about making the sheep comfortable with surveillance. Right? That's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that ship's come and sailed though. Too late for that. I mean, who cares? Carry on a damn cell phone with the GPS. I mean, come on. I mean, come on. You've lost the battle. Get real.
Yeah. It's just amazing. And there was a nice story about the Echo. Where is it? As far as production, that Amazon was saying that they are like, I don't know if I don't think I saved it. There are 6,000 people working on the Echo. They say it's like a little town. All these people are, the only thing that they do is they work on the Echo product. That's just amazing.
What is Amazon's position or Bezos' position on AI? Because a lot of these big tech CEOs have come out either in favor or say AI run, right? What is their position on AI?
I don't know.
Because that's the scary part I mean, you look at what some of these scientists have predicted. Oh, we're gonna in 10 years we'll lose control of everything because of AI, because it's so sophisticated. And you wonder, and this was all science fiction until recently. I was listening to Steve Gibson's podcast. I went back there when the that big data breach happened with Equifax.
Yeah,
because I have him in my podcast directory, and I decided to listen to his comments about it. And he talked a bit about AI and the hazards of just giving into this technology and just letting it. You think, are we just creating a society of a bunch of sheep that will just go along? Oh, I think that's true. I mean, I think unfortunately it's by design that we'll just have many places around the country. Alaska was a new place that actually has legal marijuana.
Oh, really?
It's like, yeah, it's local. You have to a town, or what they call a borough, has to decide whether they'll do it legally. It's not a statewide thing.
What was your company's stance on that? Would that have been illegal?
It's still, you can't. It's the same as alcohol. You can't drive while you're under the influence.
Of course, you wouldn't be able to drive with it. But would there be any repercussions if you? I mean, well, I guess you're always driving, so that's kind of an issue. What about guests? Was anybody smoking?
No, no. I saw there was only one place in town that I was aware of that. It's funny, the big sign. It was just a big picture of a marijuana plant.
A big pot leaf. The universal sign. I mean, it's like a.
That's it. Yeah, it's like a
Target dot or the McDonald's.
There's a
arches.
road sign up ahead. What is it? It's marijuana.
A big green leaf. That's fun.
Huh?
But surrendering. I mean, you're just day to day. Nobody's taught critical thinking anymore. It's just everything is emotional. I'm not going to get into it. Sorry.
So I'm seeing the next question in chat to Arnie about how the amateur radio community is helping in Puerto Rico. And I was reading something about how ham radio operators are saving lives in Puerto Rico. And I'm saying, okay, I know they can communicate and they can help where to go and all that. But they didn't figure out a way how to move food through the through the waves. I mean,
it's all about logistics.
Right. I mean, and this is amazing. I don't know any country that does not have ham radio operators. Not for that purpose, but just because it's a hobby and it's nice to do. And when something like this happens, they become sort of like a backbone. Puerto Rico did not have any of them.
Well, no, it did. There was a whole bunch. But the whole point is, and this is what I've been saying for probably 2.5 years now since I've had my license. This is why it's so important for people to have amateur radio. And again, you just take the stupid class if you have to pass the test and just pass the test. And if you never use it, fine. But I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people in Puerto Rico that wish they were trained and had equipment to communicate because they have nothing. And they're not going to have something for 3 to 6 more months. So, it's not as, it's not as, that likely scenario isn't quite as likely in the United States.
Well, throughout the United States, you've got the standby data relay service that's been in place for 50 years.
Exactly. So it's not quite as likely, but you could have a localized issue where we had the big blackout of I think it came down the blackout of 2002 with Niagara Falls. Power's out for hours in parts of New York. The whole city didn't have power. 2002. It was a crazy thing. No cell phones. No. TV.
Yeah, but you see, this is when that happens. There are a lot of people with generators. Over there,
but it doesn't matter if you have a generator because your cell phone all the cell towers are down. And you can't communicate with anyone.
I understand, but as far as ham radios, okay, so you have a generator, but if you don't have fuel, like they don't, you're in trouble. And
you have
fuel,
HTs.
The what?
You have handy talkies. You have the little portable 2 meter radios. Like these.
And it's hard to fathom.
You've got these things.
Yeah.
So I could communicate with somebody with this.
Yeah, but if you don't have batteries and the batteries die.
Well, yeah, yes, of course that will happen. That will happen over time. Yes.
Yeah.
But the batteries on these HTs last weeks, if not months.
Okay.
I haven't charged this one since I've moved, and it's still at 100% battery.
I still have my VHF pilot's radio.
Yeah.
And that I have the option of just putting in regular AA batteries. I can run it on that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's got a rechargeable pack. Actually, it's NiCad. I never updated it to something newer. But
I think this I was actually shopping for some accessories for these things. They do sell a AA extender module to put regular batteries in it.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of people communicating in Puerto Rico over the 2 meter band, or if not the 2 meter band, there's a whole bunch of people from the U.S. trying to get information in and out of Puerto Rico. I was reading an article somewhere. It may have been the ARRL about how people people in the States are contacting ham radio operators in the U.S. and trying to get status updates on family members.
Let's see who just called in and it's got an echo. It's got you need to lower your volume. Hey, who just called in? It's got an echo. Hello. You need to lower your volume. Hello.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, this is Arne Karl.
Hey, Arne.
Hey. What's going on?
So you're talking about ham radio in Puerto Rico, and the thing in Puerto Rico is that it was described as an atom bomb destroyed everything, you know. So I mean, it's hard for them to, because there are many ham radio operators in Puerto Rico. They are very active, but everything there was destroyed for them. So the national organization in United States is called ARRL. They got a call from the Red Cross to send 50 operators and equipment from the U.S., which they did. So they are down there operating.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's why it's just so important to have. It's I don't know what is $25 to take the test or whatever. I highly recommend everybody.
Yeah, there's 3 levels of test or licenses. The first one is technician, which gives you high frequency VHF credentials, and then the next one is general, where you can use HF, and HF is a long distance communication way or method, and then there is a third called amateur extra that gives you a little more special bands. But if you want to communicate worldwide, you need to get both the technician and the general.
Yeah, my plan is to go for my general this fall into winter, whenever it's offered locally.
Yeah, and you know, there are nice books and a lot of resources on the internet where you can learn and practice, and the technician is really easy. Generally requires a little more work.
There's a guy, I'd have to look up his name. He provides a free textbook PDF essentially for all of the different tests, and it's like ARL circulates a book, a test book that, you know, kind of gets you prepped for it. I'd have to find his name. I'll throw it in the chat.
There's a book from ARL. You have to buy it. It's about $25.
Yeah.
And there's another good book from Gordon West, which is a little smaller and easier to read and so on. But every question there is explained. And actually, there is a series on the internet from a couple of guys in Jackson, Mississippi. It's called hamcollege.com. Mm-hmm. And they go through every question. So they have done all the different questions online and discussed around it. And they just did all the technicians, and now they started with the general exam questions.
I'd have to look. I don't remember what this guy's name was, but I'll have to find it. Yeah, it's. I've read a couple different articles about the amateur radio operators in Puerto Rico, and thank God somebody's got it, because if not, I mean, there'd be no communication in and out of Puerto Rico.
Well, they were saying.
And now I saw that the Red Cross is asking for people to stand by also for a Red Cross net. No, sorry, no, I said wrong. There are already people there for Red Cross. This is for the Salvation Army. Gotcha. So they have sent out a request for people to be standby to go down there and help them to beat. And the Red Cross ham radio network is for what they call welfare traffic. So people, you know, that has relatives and friends and whatever in Puerto Rico, they could be able to communicate. So you can send a request, "Oh, you're doing okay?" And then they can come back with a reply through the amateur radio. So it has nothing really to do with the supplies and so on. It's more what is called welfare traffic, you know, to support people.
Yeah, it's luckily something like that is available, because there's still people. I see posts on Facebook every day of people trying to find updates on relatives. That storm hit 2 weeks ago, and there's still no communication in and out of the country for the most part.
Yeah, but I mean, have you seen the pictures? Everything is tore down. You know, I mean, this is like after a war. You know, somebody liked it to what it would look like after atomic bomb attack without dead people. You know.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah. So I'm what is called a VE, a volunteer examiner. There need to be 3 authorized people, to do testing, and then you have testing material. And actually, we had a testing session in Starkville, Mississippi yesterday. There is a company making products called MFJ, and they celebrated their 45th anniversary, and our club was invited there to do their testing.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
I need to find a VE group down here to administer in general.
Yeah, what you do is you go to arrl.org, and then they have a listing everywhere where you have VE testing. There is a VE testing close to your area in most parts of the U.S. every second month, I would guess.
Yeah, and especially if you're a beginner that doesn't have a technician license, you may be able to find. In my case, in New York, I found a group of people that did a 2-day class before the test, where they go through and they go through all the different parts of the test essentially, and then they it's like a tutor session, I guess, per se. And
if you're on the same website there, you can find the closest clubs, etc., and so on. And if you contact them, they will help you.
Yeah.
And it costs $15 to take the test. Plus, if you find something free on the internet, or you buy a book, and if you want to take a technician, I would say that most people, if you read through the book a couple of times and take some practice tests, you're going to manage to take it over a weekend, to learn everything over a weekend.
Yeah, another thing, too, where I used a lot, there's a whole bunch of iPhone apps that are sample tests, and I would just, after reading the book or whatever, or when I had some downtime, you just go through and take the sample, keep taking the tests over and over again.
Yeah. So if anybody of the listeners and viewers, whatever, want to have some more information, please send me an email on k5arn@arrl.net. K5ARN is my call sign.
Nice vanity call.
That's a vanity call.
Yep. Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Arnie.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
And the ham operators, they say 73 to everybody. So 73 to you all.
73s.
Absolutely. Thank you, Arnie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's so important.
Very nice.
For people
yep.
To be,
and this
be prepared for stuff like this.
And this is the time to do it, not when you have the problem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just even I'm very, very amateur when it comes to it. I mean, all I've got 2 of these HTs, and I've got a small 2-meter car radio. And I mean, I haven't even scratched the surface of what ham radio or amateur radio offers. So it's a cool hobby. It's a little pricey. So I mean, you just know that going into it. The HF radios are quite expensive. You can get some good stuff used from local clubs and such.
Yes.
What's the
919.
requirement
Go ahead, Spence.
for key and Morse?
Not required.
Not anymore.
No Morse, which is great. I mean, I think they did that to open it up to. I don't want to sound rude, but regular P. I mean, like I would not have learned Morse code to take my amateur radio test. It just wouldn't. It's too complicated.
No, it's.
I wouldn't have put the. Well, it is. I wouldn't have put the time into it because I'm just doing it as something to play around with. So I mean, they've opened it up to. And a lot of the things
to anybody
are
who's willing to learn and pass the test. Yeah.
And a lot of the questions are, I mean, if you know a little bit about technology, you could probably, if you're somewhat technically savvy, you could probably pass the test without looking at anything. I wouldn't recommend that because obviously if you pay and you fail, you have to pay again. But a lot of the questions are quite self-explanatory.
All right. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Just want to get that out of the way. What you were saying, Nick?
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say something.
Oh, no.
All right.
Good. Thanks, Arnie, for the call. That was a good call to open the show. We need more calls like that on a regular basis.
Yep. All right. So, you know how it's always, we'll put a stop sign after somebody gets killed in that crossroads. And we put a light if 3 cars got hit. That's how they operate, right? So now Equifax will debut a new service that will permanently give consumers the ability to lock and unlock their credit for free.
Not nice.
Now, it's not available now. It's not available
really
now.
Kind of them. Really kind.
It says that the service will be introduced by January 31st.
Oh, lovely.
I mean, this is something, and again, I know that they said that it's supposed to cost money to freeze and unfreeze. But so far, nobody asked me to pay money to freeze. I did not unfreeze, and it's really funny. What our credit score is like somewhere in the 800 and some. So if I needed a credit card, it was no problem whatsoever. So I applied for a credit card that they sent in the mail because Hannah needed something for her dog, and I said, okay, here's 18 months. Free, no
interest. You got
interest.
the dog a credit card?
Huh? Well, no, for her. I was going to do it for her. I was declined credit. And the
credit was locked.
And the reason because it's a freeze, and they say you have to go and unfreeze all 3 of them. And I'm saying, geez,
that's my point.
Yeah, but the point is they already sent me a pre-approved because they checked and they know that here's somebody who's worthy of credit.
Yeah, but they probably sent you that before you locked your credit.
But yeah, they can't even check your credit if it's frozen.
Yeah, which is good. I said, nah, it's fine. I mean, she managed, so I don't need it. And I said, okay, no, I'm not. That it's good to know, really, that thing works.
What did you think of the process? Experian and Equifax were very easy. TransUnion was insane.
Yes, was really.
It was very difficult to get it done.
Yep.
Yes, their process was terrible.
And actually,
as somebody would say,
TransUnion sent not email but mail, snail mail, with a form and with the PIN and all that. I mean, it's not something that you. I mean, Spence, you're right. Equifax and Experian was
easy.
Yeah. But you know something? It was very easy, but by the same token, it will be easy for somebody to figure it out. Easier for somebody to get in and unfreeze your account than it would be with TransUnion. Because TransUnion is waiting to hear from you with information that they send in a mail.
Well, they're trying to sell you too much stuff. My problem was I had already had a TransUnion login from using a free credit report years ago. So when I tried to go in and it said, oh, no, that username is already used, I tried to reset my password, which was insane.
Forget it.
And then when you log in, if you don't log in from the right place, it takes you into all these sales pitches, and it says you can't get to freezing your credit.
What?
So you have to go to a specific link and log in. Yeah, it was a while. It took me over an hour.
And the government is essentially allowing these people to conduct the monopoly that they do, and they're clearly incompetent.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's their fault, Nick, because
it is their fault.
No, wait.
What do you mean? They sent you physical mail?
Oh! I'm not talking about TransUnion this way. I'm talking about them not allowing you to get in through email or through the web because you already have an account. Now, I had the same problem. You already set up an account, so why are you trying to set up another account? So it can raise flags, and they want to make sure that they're dealing with the correct person.
I'm clear security is the high concern of all of these companies.
But
they didn't figure out a way to link their sales pitch was more important than.
Yeah, they have right. They have all kind of things we want to. Yeah,
I don't give a damn if somebody's.
But the thing, Spence, I don't know if you went through it, but when I went through it, and there was a phone number at the end when it says, "Okay, we couldn't do it. You need to call this number," and I called that number that was on the screen, and I got an Indian attendant. And I mean, I went through through the rigmarole, and it was something that looked like TransUnion. When I got to talk to somebody, and he asked for my name and for the Social Security number, and of course, at that point, sure, here. The minute I gave him the Social Security number, the line went dead.
Uh-oh.
And I said to myself, uh-oh. And I went back and I looked at the number on the website, and I looked at the number that I dialed, and I said, no, it's the correct number. And I called that number again to see, well, maybe something got screwed up. No, but it was the same process. So I guess they had too many people, or I don't know, whatever. At this point, everything is locked, and that's what's important. But yeah, they were all kind of. We discussed that over a couple of shows, Spence, about all the problems that they were having. So anyway,
yeah, it wasn't.
So the company will also extend the sign-up period for TouchID Premier, the free credit monitoring service it's offering all U.S. consumers, he said. The service we are developing will let consumers easily lock and unlock access. You want to say something, Jorvik? Oh, to lock and unlock access to their Equifax credit files. You will be able to do this at will. It will be reliable, safe, and simple, coming from Equifax.
Yeah.
You will be. Most significantly, the service will be offered free for life. So it's something that everybody should look into.
Hey, Spence, I got a question.
Only as good as Equifax is still around.
Let's have a very important question for you. Yeah. I plan on robbing you. May I stay at your house next weekend?
Now, remember one thing.
I'll put my stuff out on the table for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Now, remember one thing. The CEO of Equifax is offering that. You know where he is now?
Oh, he's resigned.
He's resigned with how many millions of dollars? Jeez.
Freaking ridiculous. This is what's called, this is exactly why government mandating stuff like this. This is what this creates. Creates issues like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 companies in the entire United States that provide this, and they're all corrupt as all hell. And they're literally running scams for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, it's really, yeah.
And they're literally running scams.
I mean, I guess when you do this type of credit checking and all that, I'm saying, okay, somebody is at a bank. I mean, they can call the bank. They used to call when I used to ask for credit with companies back in the 80s. Because I was buying parts for computers and selling computers. So you're working with wholesalers, distributors, and they want to know that you're worthy of it. So the thing that they will ask is which bank you're working with, and the name of the company, and the phone number of the bank. They wouldn't even ask for the account number. And my bank manager would let me know. He said, such and such company is asking about you. Is it okay to talk with them? I said, sure. I guess these days it's a little bit more, I don't know, automated and all that, or people don't want to talk, or they want to do everything
They don't
online.
actually, there's no actual, your credit check now is just your stupid score.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no, I mean, I'm sure when these companies were calling your bank, they'd say, oh, does Amnon make his payments on time? Does he,
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to matter matter that much, though. They'll extend credit to anybody.
That's my point. I get credit stuff in the mail all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have a credit score. I mean, you're pre-approved. I got a pre-approved thing from Capital One yesterday. I'm pre-approved for credit. I don't have a credit score.
Yeah.
Why the hell would they pre-approve me for something?
Well,
I mean, the whole concept of credit has been so diluted and abused now that over $1 trillion in credit card debt, $1 trillion in student loan debt.
Yep.
There are some other debt statistics out there that other bubbles that they say we're going to hit, like the real estate market commercial real estate is going to hit a bubble and collapse because of its debt load. And debt is just something what did we hit? We hit 20 trillion now with the federal government, right?
Yes.
With no end in sight.
Nope.
Nick, as far as getting pre-approved and getting credit without credit score, the bank manager explained it to me some years ago. He said, no credit is good credit. If you have bad credit, then they will deny you. But if you don't have any credit, then it's just like you have good credit. And unlike when when you try to drive in North Carolina, you have to start. They don't trust you.
Clearly, they don't do anything very well.
Well, yeah, they don't. You're right.
Did they come and take your car, Nick?
What?
Did they come and take a car away from you?
No, they didn't. But I'm telling you, people in North Carolina cannot drive. That's a fact. I got another little ding on my bumper. Somebody hit my car door, and now I got a ding on my bumper.
Oh, come on!
Ridiculous. I had that car for freaking 4 years. Not a scratch on it.
Well, you lived in a town with 3 people, so that's how.
Hey, yeah. I'm definitely coming over. Make sure, give me your address. Make sure you leave the door unlocked.
Well,
I find it the credit thing's a real problem.
I think that overall, though, it's an industry-wide security problem for all this electronic information that's held. It's obviously completely bogus. It's all available. It's all out there. So we have to come up with a new system that takes into account everything is visible. How do I block the stuff I need to block?
Yeah.
So that's really it. You just have to assume now, like we did talking about before with the cameras in Echo, that you just have to assume that everything is exposed and that you have to figure out a way to prevent it from being exploited.
It's a very interesting analogy. Yeah, there's definitely a comparison there.
I remember several people years ago that I knew from work who were into this whole, it's not, you don't have to pay your income tax because income tax is illegal. That was their whole position, that you don't have to pay it because the federal government scammed us. There was you couldn't legally, based on the Constitution, have an income tax. So what they did was they chartered the income tax in Puerto Rico or something like that. This is all their story. I don't know if it's true or not. But out of that came getting rid of your Social Security number, getting rid of all the identifications you had. I said, how? Well, you'd never be able to apply for credit. And it says, well, yeah, that's true.
Hey, who cares?
But if you are independent, you don't care. But it seems like everything now. What was I doing the other day that they required the last 4 digits of my Social Security number? It's like, well, why would you even want that?
I did something recently too that they asked for it, but it was the same thing. Like, it was kind of like, whatever. Like my Social Security. Actually, yeah, I think we talked about this on the show a couple of weeks ago. I mean, there's probably 100 places that have the last 4 of all of our Social Security numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Companies get bought and sold, and information transfer.
Oh, all that stuff has got to be out there. I mean, there's no question.
Your Social Security number is sitting in plain text with a company somewhere. Absolutely not a doubt in my mind.
Right.
It's just whether the person who is trying to exploit it has the resources to go after it.
Exactly.
The Equifax breach is only the 3rd or 4th major one that I've been part of. I originally got hit with, when I worked for IBM, there was a major credit breach with some payroll thing that happened, and they were all 1 year free credit monitoring services. Well, how is that going to help me?
Yeah, great.
They might sit on this stuff for 5 years and then suddenly start to use it. So we signed up with Credit Karma because it's free.
Yeah.
And actually, it was worth it right away, because the first thing I did when I created my account, it popped up and says, you have money coming to you from the state that was unclaimed money. I said, really? So I went, and sure enough, it was a lab test from 3 years ago that I double paid on. Or it was supposed to have been covered by my deductible, and I paid it anyway. So within a week, I got a check. So
nice.
Interesting.
Yeah, Credit Karma jumped right on it and said that they are going to.
Yeah, it is actually. It is. I was trying to sell you things, but they make their money by putting offers out there too. You can just ignore it.
Yeah, it's fine. All right, let's switch gears here. So, if anybody is using Internet Explorer, I don't know why you would, but the latest version of Internet Explorer has a bug that leaks the addresses, search terms, or any other text typed into the address bar.
Oh, great.
It was disclosed Tuesday by security researcher Manuel Caballero. The bug allows any currently visited website to view any text entered into the address bar as soon as the user hits enter. The technique can expose sensitive information that a user didn't intend to be viewed by remote websites, including the web address the user is about to visit. So the hack can also expose search queries, since IE allows them to be typed into the address bar and then retrieved from Bing or other search services. The proof of concept makes it transparent that the attacking website is viewing the entered text. The hack, however, can easily be modified to make the information theft completely stealthy. So a lot of people, let's say, are using a browser to FTP, and you can type it in the bar. Yeah, and you need to put your username and password. It passes it all at once. I mean, ridiculous. But again, I don't know why you would be using Internet Explorer if you are.
I don't understand. IE is passing. Who is it sending the address bar information to? The remote server?
To the remote server, or any server that you are on. So if you're on Google and you are hitting any search thing, that website can see what you entered. So, you have to be on the internet somewhere in order to enter that thing. So you may be on AOL, and you say, okay, now let me find such and such. AOL now can get that information.
Gotcha.
So so really, I mean, the only way that you may be able to remedy this is to do your searches from a blank tab, I would think.
Or just go to google.com and search inside because that's not the this is from the address.
But then Google gets it.
Yeah, of course, but Google's going to get it either way because you're searching it on Google's server. So that's irrelevant.
No, this is the website that you're on. When you're entering it and you hit enter, then it goes to the website, and the website that you're already on is reading it. Not
My
where
point
you
is
go.
My point is if you're doing a Google search on Google, Google's going to get the information either way.
Oh, yeah, true. That's true.
So that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, that's right. So this is bad. And again, you need to switch to something more modern.
Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Opera, something.
And there was something this week that I saw in our Skype thing about Cloudflare. And somebody said, no, that was actually Jason. was saying, yeah, now the shit is going to hit the fan. Cloudflare, a major internet security firm, is on a mission to render distributed denial of service, DDoS, attacks useless. The company announced Monday that every customer, including those who only use its free services, will receive a new feature called unmetered mitigation, which protects against every DDoS attack, regardless of its size. Cloudflare believes the move is set to level the internet security playing field. Now every website will be able to fight back against DDoS attacks for free.
I've got to tip my hat to Cloudflare.
And Jason, say it again.
No, go ahead.
No, so Jason was saying, you know what's going to happen now? These guys are going to attack all these to see if it works or not, and they're going to figure out a way how to get through. It's like saying, hey, come hit me.
Well, I think there's some legitimate. I think I could see both arguments with that. But Cloudflare does a fantastic job with the stuff that they provide. I mean, do you know how expensive it is to unmetered mitigation of DDoS attacks?
Yeah, I know. That's
very expensive to provide.
Yes, it is, and it's ridiculous.
And the fact that they're providing that is, I mean, clearly means that they've just had enough of this BS, and they want to. The thing is, if they render the DDoS attack useless, then people just stop.
I hope that they can. I really hope
they can, absolutely. If 95% of the websites on the internet are using Cloudflare, then problem solved.
Well,
I mean, I don't. Everybody should be using Cloudflare to check if it's to check the connection.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fantastic thing. Everybody should be using it.
Well, hopefully. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. What else? Steve, Jorvik, do you guys have anything from your side of the pond?
I've been looking in all the tech stuff. Absolutely nothing. It's dead quiet.
Yeah. I've checked on Engadget and places like that. The RSS feed's been really quiet this week.
Well,
nothing new to scream and shout about and go, whoopee, look at this coming in. It's like boring. Come on, get on with it, you technology people.
Bill Gates made some news this week. He started using an Android phone now.
Well, his phone sucks, so I mean, that's not surprising.
Said it may not be the most surprising revelation, given profits are sinking faster than a boat without a hull, and big-name partners are jumping ship left and right, but the founder of Microsoft had presumably left Windows Mobile. It makes sense. It sure makes sense. I mean, I can just see the guy sitting there and this is our product. Really this is our product. Oh no! Yeah. Oh, so anybody here in the chat or in the Hangout uses Windows Phone or Windows Mobile or whatever? Let's hear.
Andrew did for a while.
He did?
I remember. Yeah, Andrew had a couple Windows phones. I just remember he hated them. They're not good. Their apps aren't available. They're still like, I don't think even Instagram has a Windows mobile app. They're like one of the biggest social networks out there.
Interesting. All right, let's see. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Gene.
Hey, Gene, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Can I tell everybody?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Gene's 61st wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations, Gene.
All right.
Yeah, people
can you turn them up a little bit, Amnon?
Yeah, I am.
People always ask me,
how
can you do that? 61 years, with the same woman. I tell them, well, it's a matter of compromise. As long as you understand compromise means she's always right.
Yes.
Wise words to live by.
So what's up, Gene?
Well, I'm calling on my weekly scam telephone incident, and this one has to do with Roku. I bought the Roku 3 at Nick's advice, around Christmas time?
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. It's been working great, and all of a sudden, the other night, I would go to Roku, and I would go to Netflix, for example, and I would get the voice on what I wanted to watch, but the screen had this message on it that content was unauthorized. And it said DP, HDCP, unauthorized,
CP.
content unauthorized. Well, I unplugged it and plugged it back in, same thing. So, as usual, I went on the internet and I went to see if I could get a Roku support number. And what I got when I called Roku is that they don't have telephone support. Go to their website. So I went to their website and a chat popped up. A chat pop-up came up. And I thought it was a Roku, from Roku, but actually it was a chat that was kind of an independent chat. And so anyhow, they asked me what my problem was, and I basically described it that I had this content unauthorized thing, and they said someone will call you in about 5 minutes, the most. I said, gee, that's unusual. So sure enough, I got the phone call about 5 minutes later. Obviously with an Indian accent. And he asked me what the problem was, and I told him what the problem was. And then he said, how old is your Roku? And I said, gee, I don't know. I said, not more than a year. I said, I got it about around Christmas time, as I remember. I said, I don't know. And then he said, well, what's the model number? I gave him the model number. Then he started asking me questions that I didn't think were appropriate. Like the kind of information that you would only give somebody like your network information. So I said to him, Roku, and he said, the chat recommended that we call you. And I said, I want to speak to your supervisor. And sure enough, he hung up. Oh, I should mention, before that, he told me that I had an old version. I had the basic and I needed the max. And that would be a charge of $50 to my credit account.
Nice.
All right. And so I asked to speak to a supervisor and he hung up. Well, actually, if anybody ever gets that problem, it's very easy to fix, because instead of Googling for Roku support, the next thing I did is just Google the problem. And a simple answer came up. You have to unhook both the television and the Roku for about 30 seconds. And then, plug the
cable
back in, plug the Roku back in, and bingo, problem fixed.
Interesting.
But I thought the thing that was kind of really nasty was the fact that on a Roku support page, up comes this pop-up to chat. And you would swear that it was Roku chat, but it was a general chat company. And they're turning you over to a scammer.
Yeah.
So that's my scam story for the week.
You have a very interesting luck with these support people.
Yeah, you have to be very careful.
You're not a lucky person, are you? At least you've experienced it and you recognise the fact that it is a scam, and you can call in and tell us about it. It's good advice for anybody.
Yeah, especially if you're into Roku, because it's very good. Listen, one more thing I might share with you, since Spence is back, and he probably can remember these days too. You were talking about Bill Gates. I was in IBM at that time. I was involved in the manufacture of the first PC. And after we had the PC developed and manufactured, the only operating system we had, of course, was DOS. DOS was put together by Paul Ryan and Bill Gates in their garage, I guess. And the people that ran the PC division in IBM went to the company. We had all kinds of programmers working on big systems. And they said, we need an operating system for our PC. And so they said, well, we're too busy on the big stuff. Go on out and subcontract it, because we're too busy on the big stuff. So, the head of it, his name was Bob. She passed away, by the way. He's one of the guys that killed in an airplane accident in Dallas, Texas. The one that plane.
Yeah, the Delta flight. The Delta flight that went down. Yeah.
Right. Bob Estridge and his wife were on that flight. Well, anyway, Bob Estridge knew Gates and Paul Ryan, so he basically went to them, and bingo, that started marketing, and that's where it began, right there. Interesting history. The next funny thing is about Gates. Gates is a philanthropist, and I mean, he just loves to donate his money to good causes. Paul Ryan, on the other hand, is a big spender. I mean, he lives big, and they don't talk to each other now, by the way. And it's too bad, but Paul Ryan is an example down in Grand Cayman, where I go every year. There's a Ritz-Carlton. He owns the top of the Ritz-Carlton, the penthouse, and it has a helipad up there. And Paul Ryan owns about 5 yachts. They're all over 100 feet long. And so Paul Ryan's, yacht comes around right in front of the beach where our place is, and I see it out there with all the octopus. And I say, well, I wonder what's going on. Well, anyway, in the back of the octopus, they have a helipad. The helicopter comes up on deck, and boom, they fly around, and then they come back down and put it away again. And so everybody's wondering, I wonder what they're doing with that helicopter. Well, at one of the restaurants that night, they were at the counter, and I happened to see they had an octopus label on their shirt. And I said, hey, what are you guys doing flying that helicopter around like that and just putting it back? You just testing it, or what are you doing? And they started to laugh. And I said, what are you laughing at? And I said, well, Paul coming into the airport, which is like 7 miles away from the Ritz-Carlton, and we got to go pick him up and bring him to his penthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why ride in a cab when you can fly?
Yeah.
Right?
So they're too easy. Two different personalities completely. And the last I heard, they weren't speaking to you. Just one more funny incident. When Microsoft got really going, right, IBM wanted to really manage them, like, the bureaucratic company. We wanted to know what to do and what not to do. And Bill Gates, kind of an independent guy, and he didn't put up with that. He was getting kind of mad at it. Well, anyway, we were making PCs over here in Research Triangle Park at the rate of 10,000 a day. And I get this letter from the division president with a template letter in it. And the template letter is to Bill Gates. And he wants to donate a computer to him. Every time he got a new model, he wanted to get Gates one to get on the better side of him. So I got the letter. The letter said, every time you get a new development, a new version, make sure that it's tested well and it works good and all that. And send it to Bill Gates's apartment in Central Park in New York City. So I, did it. Probably about 3 or 4 times, new models came out. Bingo, up to Gates. I'm sitting in my office one day. My secretary comes in and says, Bill Gates' assistant wants to talk to you. So I get on the phone, and she says to me, Mr. Adesso, would you do us a favor? Stop sending those computers to Bill Gates. He's not using them. He's just putting them in the corner of the room, and they're filling up the room. And I said, well, I don't know. My division president told me, she says, don't tell him. Just stop doing it. So I did. I stopped doing it. Nobody ever checked. Funny.
No.
Okay.
Hi, Gene.
Hey, Gene, I have another related story for that. I was sent out to Redmond to the IBM interoperability lab for laptops this is in the 90s, and I had to donating to them networking gear, because this was the burn-in location for new versions of Microsoft on all the IBM laptops that came out. So I got to get into the room that had all the new stuff that wasn't announced yet, that was being tested with Microsoft. They had a high-speed fiber optic link to the Microsoft development campus, and it was a pretty cool experience. I got to put in the first gigabit Ethernet hubs or switches in that lab for IBM.
Interesting.
You still there?
That's good.
Oh yeah. It was an interesting. Yeah, it was a nice trip. It was one of those. Wasn't trying to sell anything, which is nice, and just there, giving them technology, which was fun.
Yeah. the first laptop in the world out here in Research Triangle Park in my plant. We called it a luggable. Weighed something like 30, 40 pounds. It was, used to get it. It came in a cotton leather carrying case. And it only had, it didn't have color. It was a red background. What do they call that? With the red background and a black print. Oh, phooey, I can't remember.
Yeah, that was the first, what they call it, the first luggable.
Yeah, we called it luggable, right? Because it was 30 pounds.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
Okay, guys, gonna let you go.
All right, Gene. Take it easy.
Later, Gene.
Bye-bye.
Bye. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Let's see what else is here. Now, Nick, remember your rant about the Face ID?
Yes.
According to Security Guide published Wednesday, Apple recommends that children under the age of 13 do not use Face ID on the iPhone X, iPhone 10, due to the probability of a false match being significantly higher for young children. The company said this was because their distinct facial features may not have fully developed. They also recommend that twins and siblings do not use the new feature.
Okay, so then this is my question, and I agree with this.
Oh,
but
of course, but I mean, think about it. So
but then where's the answer to my question then? Why the hell isn't there just Touch ID?
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So now, what are you doing here? So people that have families that have brothers, sisters, don't use it. If you have twins, don't use it. I mean, what?
Give me Touch ID,
in the world?
I don't care. I won't use it anyway, but I have to.
Yeah. Well,
it's yet another technology that is overhyped and underperforming.
Well, I don't even care about the hype or anything. I just care about not having an alternative to, like, your phone is either locked or Face ID. I guess you do. There probably is still a PIN code. I guess that makes sense. But that's going back a step now, because Apple's now. This is the problem. They've brainwashed people to not use passwords to unlock their phone. I haven't used a password to unlock my phone in over 2 years. I put my thumb on the scanner. So I mean, now they want me to go back and use it and start using that again if I don't want to use Face ID. I don't see it as a solution.
Yeah, hopefully by the time it comes out, they'll have an alternative. I don't know.
They're not going to make an alternative.
So are we instead of seeing severed thumbs, are we going to see severed heads in the future?
Who knows? Hopefully. That'll be.
If they can fake a thumbprint, what was that study that came out recently where a guy showed he could fake any thumbprint? He could come up with a universal thumbprint that would work. So what's next? They'll use a 3D printer to create a universal face that will work with any face reader.
Well, there are companies from China that's already selling face masks for iPhone 10. Yeah. And talking about Apple is currently investigating reports of the iPhone 8 Plus splitting open while being charged with the included cable and plug adapter. So it's the one of the photos which show damage consistent with a swollen battery. I mean, it's they were saying that, well, a device that's being produced in the millions will always have a few bad ones.
True.
It's true, but how would you like to be that one?
You wouldn't like to be that one, but I mean, the problem you have is you see five of these pictures, and the same thing with remember the bending iPhone? I mean, that whole thing was completely blown out of proportion. It wasn't real. That wasn't happening. People's phones were not actually bending. You had a couple phones that had a weak structural support, and then we were told to believe that every freaking iPhone 6 Plus was just snapping in half in people's pockets.
Well,
and it just wasn't the case.
Well, you could break it in half and you'd have two phones.
Well, yeah, there you go. You'd have 2.5-inch phone screens. It'd be great.
And to wrap things up with Apple, the Apple stories, Apple is ditching Bing. It will now use Google to power the default search engine for Siri, search within iOS, and Spotlight on Mac. So they're going to go with Google for these searches.
I love Bing.
The what?
I love Bing.
Well,
far superior search engine in my opinion. I'm not being sarcastic.
I don't know if this is a political thing.
No, it's that I'm sure Google has better. I'm sure Google provides a better API. Or
well, yeah, because they'll be able to take advantage of the search APIs to develop it back into their apps.
Yeah.
So
I use Bing on my desktop. That's my search engine.
And Nick,
so I was reading further comment on Apple. I was reading how the new phone, the X, is they have a problem now. Nobody's beating the door down to buy the 8 because people were anticipating the X, but the X is $1,000. $1,000. They said they finally gotten to the point where they've what is I forget what the term was, but there was a
the economic term.
Well, there's a term for where products reach their peak and then they start to slide, and if you don't keep reinventing yourself, you slide into oblivion. And that was a key business factor that you learned. This started in the 80s with they called it paradigm shifting, and they called it Tom Peters was a famous writer that would talk about obsolescence of companies and products and how you had to keep innovating. And but the point is that they may have gotten to the point where there's signs that their innovation engine is dead, and it's just not. They're not coming out with the next thing anymore, and they've $1,000 phone isn't going to go over well. $700 was a lot, but
I disagree.
Still, it's got to the point now where there's just too many cheaper alternatives that work fine.
Yeah.
That if they don't do something major, they get, what was the statistic? More than 50% of their revenue comes from mobile devices.
Well, nobody buys their computers. I mean, look at their market share. What are they at, like 4.3% market share? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's growing, but only because the total market is growing. They're not advancing on other manufacturers.
I believe Windows XP still has like a 2 or 3 times more market share than all of Apple's OSs combined on desktop, which is scary. Which is scary in itself, but for different reasons.
But it will be interesting to see what shakes out the next couple of years.
I don't mind the $1,000 price tag. I really don't.
Well, now I think they've been taking us to that point with the whole financing thing now.
Of course, yeah.
There's no more subsidy anymore. You just pay for it over 3 or 4 years or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the price just doesn't bother me. You use the thing every day. I mean, I could say I at least get $1,000 worth of use out of an iPhone over 2 years, at least.
Oh, well, it must be like to be rich.
For the size, there's nothing more powerful.
What'd you say,
Sorry, Steve?
I said, well, it must be like to be rich.
Well, it's just the practicality of using something every day. I mean, it gets me, especially now moving. I mean, if I didn't have a phone, I wouldn't be able to go anywhere. I use GPS constantly. It's a brainer.
It's definitely the gadget or the device to have with you now, because it's all encompassing. It does everything. So I can understand the price going up, but I just cannot get my head around £1,000 or $1,000. It's just wow.
I mean, I wish I didn't have to buy $1,000 phone, but The alternative is the $800 phone. Like, I mean, it's not like the alternative is the $200 phone.
Yeah, if there was that much difference in price, you know, say $300 or $400, and then the next one up's $1,000, then I wouldn't even contemplate. I would go for the 200-300. But
well, that's the interesting thing is to me it looks like they're not trying to even market the iPhone 8, because if they wanted the 8 to be a bestseller, they need to make that $600, make the X $1,000, and then there's your $400 price differential. But with the price $200 difference, the price differential's not there.
I have to say that casual use with the iPhone, I have a 7, and video editing, if you have the editing app on that device, is so sophisticated, and you can do it in such a hurry and add titles and edit and fade in and fade out and all these different features on. You cannot believe you're doing this in a handheld device.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just absolutely amazing. I'm sure most people, people do a lot of video, but a lot of people don't edit the video.
Yeah.
They just throw it out there, shaky and messed up as it is.
It's pretty.
I noticed the other day I was doing some video, and the built-in image stabilization in the iPhone 7 is incredible.
Yep. They know how to make a mobile device.
Yep.
Foxconn knows how to.
Foxconn makes Samsung's phones, and they're garbage. So I mean,
well, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, exactly.
But they were saying that one of the reasons why the iPhone X is delayed is that they're having technology issues with building in bulk. They have the new technology. There's a whole new surface mount technology they're using. That the system boards and all that are smaller. They're just density is better, but they're having trouble getting the lines to produce quality product as per their normal standard. So they'll get there. It's just that they're not quite there yet to beef up the
full production
huge numbers that they think they're anticipating they're going to need. So we'll see.
I'm excited for it.
Okay.
The only thing I don't like about the 7 is I switched. I have an OtterBox case, the Defender case with a clip. I need it because I would destroy the phone otherwise. But it's just a little bit bigger than I'm comfortable with to go on my belt and in my pocket. So, because the case makes it so much bigger to protect it.
Yeah, that's why I've never got those OtterBox. I'm not a fan of. They're just too freaking big.
I need it. I need it because I would just otherwise the phone it would be toast.
Yeah.
One thing I just discovered that I don't know, something is wrong with the chat server. I mean, I'm saying, wow, there's nothing going on.
Oh, I see the chat.
I decided I'm going to refresh the page. And sure enough, it wanted me to log in again. And it showed there's a lot of things going on. So if you don't see stuff going on, you may want to refresh the page. I don't know if it's because I'm logging in before it becomes the live page. I don't want to confuse you, but if you don't see things happening in the chat over a long period of time, this is why there's Amnon1 now. I mean, once you refresh, you cannot log in with the same name. Anyway, at Eco Party Security Conference, that's what a name, Eco Party. Security firm Duo plans to present research on how it delved into the guts of tens of thousands of computers to measure the real-world state of Apple's so-called Extensible Firmware Interface, or EFI. This is the firmware that runs before your PC's operating system boots and has the potential to corrupt practically everything else that happens on your machine. Duo found that even Macs with perfectly updated operating systems often have much older EFI code. due to either Apple's neglecting to push out EFI updates to those machines or failing to warn users when their firmware update hits a technical glitch and silently fail. For certain models of Apple laptops and desktop computers, close to a third or half of machines have EFI versions that aren't kept pace with their operating system updates. And for many models, Apple hasn't released new firmware updates at all. Now, to be fair here, if they pushing EFI updates, which is sort of like BIOS updates for us PC users, I don't know anybody pushes BIOS updates. It's up to you to go to the manufacturer and find out and do it. And how many of us do that? Not many. I mean, really not many.
For ages.
Only time you ever update your BIOS is if you have a computer issue, like your system won't boot or whatever.
So
it should be something that's automatic, really, that the BIOS periodically checks like it does for your antivirus and says there's a new version. Do you want to do it?
Too risky.
Well, apparently not for the Macs. They push it on you.
It's not the same thing.
It's not exactly the same thing. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If your MBR becomes corrupt, you are pretty much screwed.
You're dead in the water. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean.
So this is just for you to know, and you can go and check, I guess, on the Mac. It's I can't criticize that. And those of you that are using keyboards on the phone or tablets, whatever, there's a keyboard called Go. Security research from AdGuard have issued a warning that the popular Go keyboard app is spying on users. Produced by Chinese developers Gomo dev team, Go keyboard was found to be transmitting personal information about users back to remote servers, as well as using a prohibited technique to download dangerous executable code. AdGuard made the discovery while conducting research into the traffic consumption and unwanted behavior of various Android keyboards. The AdGuard for Android app makes it possible to see exactly what traffic an app is generating, and it shows that Go keyboards was making worrying connections, making use of trackers and sharing personal information.
Of course.
So if you're using that app called Go Keyboard, look into it. All right. Who do we have online?
I am it's Mike in Fuquay-Varina.
Hey, Mike.
Did you see the smoke rising from my house last weekend?
No, what happened?
I had called you about installing an SSD smaller than my existing hard drive.
Right.
Well, I tried a whole bunch of things. I tried Terabyte to do a restore of a backup I made, and it told me the drive was too small. I tried the copy feature in Terabyte, and I got the same response. Then I decided to try that Acronis True Image. I installed a trial version of that. Unfortunately, the clone feature was not available in the trial issue. So I tried to back up using Acronis and then a restore. The restore feature didn't even see the SSD drive. It saw everything but that. So then I decided I'm going to try to shrink my C drive using disk management. Disk management told me I could only shrink it to 475 gigabytes, even though I only have 55 gigabytes on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I then I discovered rather that there's a hidden partition on my drive, 450 megabytes. It's called a recovery partition. Yeah. No volume, no drive letter.
Right. That's when you try to do a system restore, that's where it gets the information from.
Yeah, well, I went on Microsoft's website and blah, blah, blah. They said you can delete it if you want, if you're not going to use it, which I have no intention of ever using. But they said you can't use Disk Manager to delete it. You have to use diskpart.exe, which I haven't used in years, but I went through it, and it fails. It just wouldn't delete it. The program just exits without any explanation. So then I did a little more searching, and I found out that I could use a program called Minitool Partition Wizard, which I had on a boot CD, Hiron's boot CD.
Yeah.
So I ran that, and sure enough, it allowed me to delete that hidden partition. So I went back to Disk Manager in Windows, and now it said I could shrink the C drive to 73 gigabytes. So I said, great. I tried to shrink it to 200 gigabytes, told me not enough space. So I went back to that Minitool Partition Wizard, and it allowed me to shrink it to 200 gigabytes.
Okay.
I went back to Terabyte, and I did a backup of my now 200 gigabyte C drive, restored that to my SSD drive, turned the system off, unplugged my hard drive, booted up to the SSD, and almost fell out of my chair.
It did it?
The thing gave me a desktop in 15 seconds instead of about a minute and a half with the hard drive.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it was that much quicker.
Oh, yeah.
What size was the SSD?
240. I had a 1 terabyte hard drive, but I only had like 55 gigabytes on it.
So
but I had to jump through hoops to get this thing to do a restore.
What's that, Steve, you were saying?
I say, so you've gone from a single engine aircraft to Concorde.
Hopefully without the blown tires.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. I just can't believe it's so much quicker.
Oh, the SSDs are fantastic. Yeah, you will never be able to use a hard drive again.
Yeah, if any time you use a computer that's got a hard drive now, you'll just be drumming your fingers thinking, what the hell's going on?
Well, I've got another SSD. I was given 2 of these. I'm going to put it in my wife's machine. Unfortunately, I only had one mounting bracket for it.
You don't even need to mount it, to be honest with you.
What's that?
Use Velcro.
Double-sided tape. It's not a spinning drive. I mean, you don't really have to. You can just. I double-side tape mine to the back of the case, behind the
rather than use the rails.
No reason to.
Yeah, I mean,
unless you're going to be traveling with the computer a lot.
No, it's a desktop.
If it's a desktop, I mean, you could literally just lay it in the case, lay it on top of the CD drive.
Well, I left the old hard drive in. I decided I wasn't even going to take it out of the machine, so I could just leave it on top of that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah. Make sure you have airflow to it, though.
Yeah, there's plenty of air. But I just want to let you know that after the smoke cleared, it took me about 4 hours, but I finally got it to work.
Now, Mike, here comes the question. Do you think you could recreate that scenario?
I don't understand the question.
Do you remember the steps you went through?
Oh, yeah.
To get there?
I got everything written down so that if I foul something up, I'd be able to put it back together.
Okay.
I looked at my wife's machine. I had one of those 450 megabyte partitions. She's got 6.
What?
No.
Yeah, she's got 6. Hers is a Dell machine that I bought.
Oh, wow.
It came installed with Windows 8, which I immediately downgraded to Windows 7. upgrade to Windows 10, and then did 2 other Windows upgrades. So I'm thinking that every time one of those things got done, another one of those partitions was created.
That's hilarious.
It's got 6 of those partitions.
And that would probably.
Now, talking about those hidden partitions or the recovery partitions, my advice would be don't just go ahead and delete it without thinking, because many of these laptops or even desktops will give you the opportunity to write a DVD of your operating system. They don't come, you know how, I never got my Windows 7 or my Windows 8 on a CD.
Well,
what do I do now?
I have an installed DVD, so.
So if you bought the machine and you did not get the operating system when you go to like the repair or whatever, or I don't know how, because I never had one of them newer ones, they give you an option to write the Windows operating system to a CD.
Right. I'm aware of that, but don't forget this machine came with Windows 8.
I understand. I'm just saying this for the benefit of everybody.
Yeah, right. I agree with that. And personally, I would never use that restore function. I will go immediately to a full hard drive restore using the terabyte.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing, that a lot of people don't back up. A lot of people are not.
I don't have an image of my hard drive.
Huh? You what?
I don't have an image of my hard. I don't have an image of my hard drive.
No.
I don't think most people do.
If you bought a new PC recently, you should get a prompt that says "Create installation media."
Yeah.
Don't ignore it. Do it. Or if you've got one and you haven't done it yet, do a search on the start menu for create installation media, and it should give you the option of actually burning a DVD so that you have a DVD to reinstall should the inevitable
just
happen.
In case.
And if not, if you didn't do that, you can download it. You can create recovery media from Microsoft's website directly, which they never used to allow you to do.
Oh.
Yeah, as long as you've got the installation key, which very often nowadays they don't have the sticker on the side. So definitely create the installation media, which should create it with the key ready for installing again should you need to.
One other thing, I had mentioned that I did a cumulative Windows update last week that killed my Defender Security Center. They came out with a replacement for that cumulative update. It has a new number, which I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried to install that. It did exactly the same thing. It kills it kills Windows Defender. I don't know why, but before I tried installing it, I did a full backup. When I found this didn't work, I did a restore, got rid of it. And I hid the update now, so I won't even see it anymore.
Okay.
You know, I like it when you call him Mike, because every third sentence is, I did a full backup.
Mm-hmm.
When I had this problem with the SSD, I wound up doing 3 backups. 3 full backups in between steps. It takes me 10 minutes to do a backup. It's not a problem. Makes me feel so much more
you're looking
secure.
at 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and you've got the peace of mind that you've got something there to put back should something go wrong, because inevitably it is going to go wrong eventually. So for 10 minutes,
which is why
I'm
not concerned about this recovery partition. I had no intention of ever using it. Microsoft said you can delete it if you want, so I said no problem. Apparently, it was an unmovable partition, which is why I couldn't shrink my drive smaller than 450 gigabytes.
Interesting. All right, Mike.
So I'll let you know.
Thank you.
All right.
Good
Take care.
information. Good information.
All right.
Thanks,
All
Mike.
right. Again, 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype.
Phone lines are lit up this morning.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, people are sharing, which is great.
That's what we want.
Absolutely.
It's first of the month. Everyone must be thinking, I must share that with everybody.
They're hitting their quota of questions to the show.
Has anybody got
nothing for the rest of the month?
Getting prompted? Now I realize this computer. That
Oh, wait,
I'm using has been
before
off for two and a half
you get to
months.
it, I just want to say good evening or good night to Sergey, who just showed up. Good night.
Good morning, gentlemen. Glad to see you all.
Hey. So, Spence, you were saying?
I was going to say that I've had the computer I'm on now has been off for 2.5 months, so I'm just catching up on updates. But what's everybody's experience with the Creators Update? I'm being prompted now to install it. I had deferred a while back, but you only get 180 days of deferral.
Yeah, I would recommend you do it.
You recommend doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just going to pester the hell out of you if you don't. So
I'm fine with it. Everything on it seems to work good. 3D Paint is useless, but never mind. Everything else seems to work fine.
As we assumed it would be.
It's been out there long enough.
Not to pour
definitely, yes.
Not to pour water on this, but yesterday I got a call from one of my customers, and he said that computer was working in the morning. He was sitting in front of it working, and it said it just went into update. I guess he deferred it for so long, and when it finished the update, the computer will not come up. I mean, will not show anything. It was blinking. It was just circling and circling and circling there, Windows 10. And he left it for about 40 minutes. I told him, I said, leave it overnight. It's fine. And he has a network there, but he said that he went to another machine and he could log into that machine from another machine. So it was operating, but it was not finishing. So I did hear that some people had to leave it for hours before it'll finally finish doing what it's doing and come back.
Do a hard reset, it'll fix it. Obviously, they don't recommend that you turn it off mid-update.
Yeah.
I had that issue, and it worked. I mean, maybe I got lucky, but
I think if you leave it for an hour, maybe two, if it hasn't finished by then, generally, unless you've got a really old processor and hardly any RAM, you should be good to just switch off and switch back on.
Yeah, I left mine overnight, and when I woke up, it was still doing it, so I just did a hard reset, and it worked fine. It's worked fine ever since.
Well,
I notice sometimes that the progress indication that says downloading updates 3%, and it will sit there for hours. And next thing you know, it'll update. It'll reset and go. So it's the progress indications don't mean anything.
Yeah,
no, they never have. And
there was an article that I read about progress bars, and they say it will sit at 0 for an hour, and then suddenly it goes zoop, all the way up. So what good are these things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sit looking at 10%, and then you sort of look away and look back again, and it's at 67.
Yeah. No, that's fine. But when it sits at 0, and you used to say, okay, nothing is happening. I mean, if I see 1, okay, good. But if it's 0 and you don't know, is it doing something or is it not doing anything? So they don't put much emphasis into updating these while they're doing it. So, Sergey, what is happening in Kyrgyzstan?
Nothing much really. We're getting ready to elect a new president within the next 2 weeks, I guess.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so it's gonna be fun, I guess.
Of course.
It's gonna be fun?
I certainly hope so. Because yeah.
Oh, stop.
I mean, our politics are are as messed up as the politics anywhere else in the world.
Hey. Well, our politics aren't messed up.
Yeah, but the guys are at least keeping some resemblance of dignity, and they're not like fighting in a messy way with each other. So, which is good. So
Yeah,
let's see how it goes.
Just wait until the Russians go in there and start hacking.
That is funny. Yeah, Kaspersky. Yeah, that's all over the news now, isn't it?
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I think they are into it because Kaspersky himself is saying no, we're not. But I guess what else does it say?
Can't trust him. He's a communist. Red Russia.
That's right. I forgot about it. Sorry.
Yeah, you missed that memo.
Yeah, I was in a different place, I guess, when all of that happened. That was a very interesting phone call, guys, you got a minute ago. I mean, I joined right in the middle of it and learned a few things. I saw something like that happening with 6 partitions on my hard drive at some point. Then I just deleted them all. Had no problems deleting them.
It's nice when Mike calls in because he's pretty conversant with computers, and he actually runs through the steps that he's done. Yeah. And then if he comes up with an error, he actually says how he fixes it. So he gives you a step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that he's gone through, which is really informative, especially for people that are a little bit wary of computers. It basically says that, as long as you've got your head screwed on, you can get out of these problems.
Yep.
You scare me. I don't like touching computers.
If you can't, you call us and we'll help you. We'll try and help you.
We'll try. That's the key word.
Try. Yes, I did correct myself there.
Yeah. We have the best Windows XP support in the world.
Absolutely.
But Amnon, you can help us.
95 is, we're even better at that.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
Oh, Nick.
Yeah, actually, speaking of which, my wife, we're getting her another computer. She's running a Windows 10 right now, but I guess when we switch to computers, we'll have to get another copy of Windows. Which one would you guys recommend that we go with?
10, absolutely.
17.
10?
17.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because basically, I'm very used to Windows 7, and either upgraded to 10 at some point on her other computer, but now.
What's she use it for?
Mostly for photo editing.
But yeah, then that would be fine across 10. The reason you won't have to deal with if you buy Windows 7, you're not going to get the updates from Microsoft. You're going to have to use some workaround program to try to force the updates. It's Amnon has dealt with that, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just a pain, right?
Right.
Not only that, I think at the moment Windows 7 is probably more expensive than 10.
That's
not only that. Well. If you're buying another computer, a newer computer, there's a good chance that you will not be able to find the drivers for Windows 7.
Yeah.
Because the chips...
We're using all sorts of parts that are left from
I'm saying that as a general. I mean, you should
drivers watch out for the Windows 7 drivers.
You should go with Windows 10. If I had to build a new computer, I would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, when I put the computer for my wife, I put Windows 10 on it because I don't like it. I fight it every day, but sooner or later I'm going to have to convert everything to Windows 10. It's inevitable. So if you can do it, and especially, I mean, she's technical, right? Yeah, she'll be able to figure it out. It's fine. Yeah,
Let me ask you another question then. Pro or home version? Which one?
If she's a computer user, if you can get Pro at a decent price, I would, because it allows you to do group management and stuff like that. I don't believe RDP works without Pro.
As far as getting it for a decent price, and I don't remember the address. Mike or Steve, do you remember that place where
I was just going to suggest it. If you're going to be buying Windows 10 just on its own, the place where I got mine from, I got 5 licenses of the Pro for a stupidly, ridiculously cheap price. It's scdcom. Sorry, scdkey.com. So scdkey.com. The price was unbelievable in comparison to one license. If you buy it from one of your normal retailers, I got a 5 license. I can't remember how much it was now, but it was ridiculously
I paid
cheap.
$32 for 5 licenses. Now you don't get the software itself. All you get is the keys.
Yeah, you get the key and then you download it.
Right.
And then,
exactly.
You can get it from Microsoft.
Well, that's the thing. This is the first OS where you can actually do that.
Yeah.
Previously, Microsoft was a real pain about getting installation.
So yes,
you used to have to torrent it because Microsoft would not make it available to you.
No. But
torrent just the ISO.
Get it from the Microsoft site, download it as an ISO, burn it to disk, and with the key, you're ready to go.
Yep.
It's even better.
And that is, and make sure that you're buying the Pro because the Home is cheaper, but make sure that you choose. I'll try and send you the link.
Yes, please, because I mean the one that I opened, acdkey.com. I mean
it's
Dr. Webb is blocking this thing. No infections.
Who's blocking it?
It's my antivirus saying it's a known infection source.
Wow.
No, I think he went to ACD key. What isn't it something?
Yeah,
else?
A, or is it an I?
It's SCD. SCDkey.com.
S.
Yes.
Yeah. Sierra Charlie Delta.
Sierra Charlie Delta Kilo Echo
Yellow.
Yeah, I got it. Yellow. Yeah.
Sorry.
But don't try to find.
Stop it.
Wait. Don't try to find it through their menuing because I could not. You need to go to the search and type in Windows 10.
Well, if you type in Windows Pro, it usually brings it back then.
Okay.
Windows 10. All right, I got it. Yeah, 12. So I mean, it does work, does it?
Oh.
Yeah, works fine for me. Worked fine for Amnon. It's worked fine for about 4 people. I think I've suggested it to now.
So it's not like bootlegged or anything like that.
No.
No.
I bet you can.
I mean, I was wary. I was wary of it initially because I bought. I think I bought 1 license from them, and I thought, well, yeah, this is probably going to be a rip-off. But no, it worked fine. And then when I bought the 5 license, it worked. And I've also, for the first time ever, I've got a proper license for Office.
I just want to make a comment. Amnon 2 is not me. Okay, just so you know. It's probably Gary, but I'm not even going to look. But anyway, go ahead.
This is what you get for not using an actual chat service. You get nonsense like this. This is your own
but
doing,
it's fine.
and you have nobody to blame but yourself.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fine. All right,
but yeah, if you want to get any software, go and have a look. They predominantly do games, but they also do software like Windows operating systems and Office. So, if you're looking to get Office for a sensible price from what seems to be a reputable dealer, then give that a try. scdkey.com.
Awesome.
I'm not affiliated with it, by the way. I should be because I get commission.
No.
You would have gotten some commission out of my sale.
You were trying to say something?
No, it wasn't. I think that was a false clip.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Well, cool. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I really appreciate your advice because I was like, I found a bunch of Microsoft licensed products on the Microsoft websites. Then resellers, and retailers appear to be selling at the same price as Microsoft does, and I don't really understand.
Yeah.
What sense does it make for me to buy out off of them or off of Microsoft?
Well, you get 5 licenses for the price of one, and then you're sorted out for future computers you buy.
Right.
I mean, on the ones that I found, there was one license per $120 for a home version, and the Pro was a lot more expensive. Like, whatever, don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you go to the places that are prominent and come up on the search first, then you're going to be paying full price.
Well, actually, the one that I got that popped up number 2 on my search results was a sort of a semi-fishy looking website. I think it was a UK-based one, and it was offered like 13 pounds.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. Those damn Europeans.
I was like, how come would you sell it for 13 pounds? And then, so I decided against that at that point. Decided to ask you guys. So there it goes.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure. Well, it's that time of day.
Yep.
Anything anybody else wanted to add here?
Nope.
Anybody? Going once?
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Nope.
Appreciate your advice.
Thank you, Sergey.
Thank you, Amnon.
Going twice? Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Amnon.
No.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Amnon. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.
Good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And while you're at it, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tonight at 7, Nick is hosting Against the Norm on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7, and you can listen to it on TuneIn. Bye, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.